Members of City Council, good evening. Thank you for the honor of being here this evening. I'm Matthew Tobia. I am your fire chief. This evening I want to spend a few minutes at your request talking about a proposed fire station number 5. There we go. So the history of the city of Harrisonburg is one of tremendous support for public safety. As the city has grown over time, so has the growth of public safety concurred with that. And what you see here tonight is a map that shows that in 1983, the city expanded substantially and added 2 fire stations at that time, Fire Stations 2 and Fire Station 3, which are perfectly located to provide services in those annexed areas. Those were built on the foundation from Fire Station number 1 and Fire Station number 4, constructed at a time when the city was much smaller and the needs were more condensed. So what you see is a history of support for the growth of Harrisonburg. The population in Harrisonburg in 1985 was approximately 26,000. Today it is 54,000. In 1985, the fire department responded to about 2,200 calls. Today they are handling more than 5,400 calls annually. And I'll draw attention to the fact that the engine from Fire Station number 4, which currently serves the Parkview section, is slated to handle over 2,600 calls this year alone. It is important to understand that in a life-threatening emergency, seconds matter. When a person's heart stops beating, they have a less than 2% chance of survival if resuscitative efforts or efforts to start that heart are not started within 4 minutes. Nationwide, the survival rate across this country is less than 10%. Here in the city of Harrisonburg, that survival rate is 52%. Standing in stark contrast to what is going on across the rest of the country. There are 3 very simple reasons for that. First, the fire stations are located strategically to allow for the fastest response time at all possible. The second is because we have incredibly well-trained firefighter EMTs and firefighter paramedics riding on fire engines who arrive at the scene first to provide that life-altering care. And the third reason is quite simply we have what is called a systems approach. When someone calls 911, they receive instructions over the phone how to deliver CPR. We use the most modern applications available for mobile phone users in a program called Pulse Point, so that individuals who are trained in CPR can be alerted when there is a need for them to provide service nearby. So we are doing all of these things in a very systematic way. I'll give you 2 quick examples where this success has been critical. First, you'll see the young lady shown in the picture. This was a nursing student who was in nursing school at the Massanutten Technical School. She collapsed suddenly in the classroom. Fortunately, there was an instructor there who immediately started CPR. The fire engine located close by was able to arrive on location and deliver a shock to provide care for that patient. Today, she is alive as a result of those combined efforts. Separately, there was a young man who collapsed suddenly at a local grocery store. He received similar care and is also alive today. And I will note for you that the individual in that case is the son of a city employee. The son of a city employee. In those 2 cases alone, Harrisonburg firefighters extended the life of citizens, extended the life of citizens by 100 years combined. That is making a difference in our community. In addition, we know that fires burn 8 times faster and produce 200 times more smoke than 50 years ago. Flashover, the point of non-survivability in a room, occurs in 4 minutes from the moment of ignition. 50 years ago, it was 17 minutes. Today, it is 4 minutes. Smoke inhalation is the leading cause of death of fire victims, and the individuals who are most at risk are individuals who are aged 85 and older. Please remember that age as we talk about the the Mennonite retirement community, right. Followed by those over 50, followed by children under the age of 4, those most at risk for dying in a fire. And again, 4 minutes is that critical time frame. Ultimately, response time is the most accurate predictor of outcomes. In 2020, Harrisonburg firefighters extended the lives of citizens by over 250 years. We saved over $96 million in property that was endangered by fire in 2020. And one thing that's very important to note is that 7 out of 10 businesses that suffer a serious fire in which they have to close their doors never reopen their doors. Massive economic impact when you see what we are confronting. Lost the... Pam, can you advance that? There we go. There we go. Thanks. What is also important to note is that that 4-minute time is a national best practice. National Fire Protection Association 1710, the standard by which career fire departments are evaluated, says that firefighters need to arrive on location 90% of the time within 4 minutes. So where are we in meeting that goal today? Well, for fire station number 1, we are at 4 minutes and 37 seconds. For fire station number 2, we're at 5 minutes and 4 seconds. For fire station number 3 over on the east side, we are at 4 minutes and 49 seconds. And for fire station number 4, we are at 6 minutes. 6 minutes. So you see where we are compared to national best practices. What we are proposing is a 5th fire station to cut down on response times. Conceptually, we're looking at putting it as a community-based fire station in the Parkview section of the city where response times are the longest. We envision it as a 12 to 14,000 foot space for current and future needs. It will be staffed by new firefighter EMTs and new firefighter paramedics. We believe that when the station opens, it will immediately respond to 750 to 1,000 calls in its first year of service. So the impact is immediate. It's projected to open 2 years after funding for design, build, and staffing to allow all of that to occur. We also are absolutely open to a community connection space, a shared space for community connection, as well as an opportunity for interdepartmental shared space. So we're always open to those conversations. The major benefit is improving the quality of life, safety, and prosperity for 11,500 people who will be directly impacted in the new response district that I showed you in orange just a moment ago. These are some of the areas, some of the major infrastructure that are included in that proposed response district, including the Virginia Mennonite Retirement Community, where, as you know, many of the residents are in that highest at-risk category age. It's also important to note that some of the older buildings at the retirement community are not protected by sprinklers. And so the criticality of responding quickly becomes even more apparent. Eastern Mennonite University, a major university in our community, is obviously in that response district. Several elementary schools, the Parkview community, and importantly, a developing commercial district on the north side of the city. The other major impact is citywide. The Insurance Services Organization grades a community on its ability to mitigate fire as a predictor of risk, and that risk drives insurance rates, primarily in the commercial industry, in the commercial area, but also in the residential area. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is best, 10 is worst. 50% of that grade comes from the fire department. 40% comes from our investment in a water distribution system, and 10% comes from our investment in the Emergency Communications Center and the ability of the Emergency Communications Center to meet the demands of people calling 911. And in the scope of essential services, there is nothing more important than the ability to have somebody answer the phone when they call 911. An extra 5.5% can be earned through community risk reduction. And actually, all of you participated in that. When you come out for pizza night, you are engaged in community risk reduction activities because we're putting smoke alarms in homes. We're putting carbon monoxide alarms in homes. That is community risk reduction in action. There are over 40,000 fire departments in the United States of America. Of those, 411 have an ISO Class 1 rating. Out of 40,000, only 411 have a Class 1 status. Interestingly enough, 9 of them are located here in Virginia. When you think about that, you think about how we compete against other communities for attracting new businesses to our own community here in Harrisonburg. So if you look at the list of other departments that have a Class 1 rating, you'll note that several of them are in the lower Shenandoah Valley or all the way down in the lower part, but those are areas that we compete with. We want to be an ISO Class 1 department so that we can help the city continue to grow and attract new businesses with lower insurance rates. It has a profound multiplier effect. The addition of the 5th fire station, along with the work that's being done to improve our water distribution system, will all contribute to us being able to achieve that ISO Class 1 status. So why ARPA funding? Well, first, it aligns with the legislative intent to improve resiliency, capacity to protect our community, and preparedness. When individuals are afflicted with this current pandemic and they have to call 911, it is Harrisonburg firefighters who are responding to those emergencies. And our ability to do that with call after call after call is based on the layers of support that we have. And as we emerge from this current emergency, we know there is going to be the next emergency. We may not be able to envision it today, but we know that it's going to occur, and our preparedness for it is essential. It enhances services for some of the most at-risk populations in the city, including our elderly populations. It also not only affects the Parkview community, but by keeping Fire Station 4 in service in their community more often, it cuts down on response times in that area as well. So it has the effect of having a direct impact on response times in 2 sections of the city immediately, improving the ISO grading for the entire city overall. It supports the adopted council vision that all of you have participated in, and it also frees local revenue for other important city infrastructure projects. And I need to take a moment and just say the fire department does not exist as an island within the city. We are one of 15 city agencies. We rely on other critical departments to provide support to us so that we can provide the services that we provide to the city residents. We are not an island unto ourselves, and we recognize the role that all of them play. And we acknowledge that there are also other important competing priorities. So as we look to the future, we're talking about investing in our community's future, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.